What did you do when someone messed with your sister? My 19-year-old sister Yvette had been in treatment for anorexia for 6 months at an expensive residential facility. She was supposed to be getting better, but every time she seemed to make progress, she'd suddenly relapse worse than before. Her therapist, Dr. Getzfrid, kept saying recovery wasn't linear, but something felt wrong about the pattern. I found Yvette's journal hidden in her room during a visit, and what I read made me want to throw up. She'd been documenting everything Dr. Getzfrid said to her in private sessions versus what she told our parents in family meetings. In front of us, Dr. Getzfrid preached about body positivity and healing, but to Yvette in private she'd say, "You're right that you look bigger. Trust your instincts about your body." Another entry said Dr. Getzfrid told her, "Some people just aren't meant to eat normally, and that's okay." The worst entry was from the previous week, where Dr. Getzfrid apparently said, "Your parents want to control you by making you gain weight, but I understand you." This monster was encouraging my sister's ED, so she could keep charging our insurance $3,000 a week. Yvette had written that Dr. Getzfrid taught her how to hide ankle weights during weigh-ins to fake progress, and told her which foods would make her retain water to seem like she was gaining. She'd been coaching my sister on how to lie to the nutritionist, and what to say to seem compliant while still restricting. My baby sister was 82 pounds, and Dr. Getzfrid was helping her stay that way. I took photos of every page and confronted the facility director that afternoon. He barely glanced at the journal pages before saying patient writings were often distorted by their disease and couldn't be taken as factual. He said Dr. Getzfrid had an excellent success rate and used unconventional but effective methods that patients sometimes misunderstood. I asked what her success rate could possibly be when Yvette had been there 6 months and was sicker than when she arrived. He said eating disorders were complex, and some patients required extended treatment, which conveniently meant more insurance money for them. I demanded to see Dr. Getzfrid's other patients' progress, and he said that was confidential. I found out from another patient's parent that their daughter had been there for 2 years and was still cycling through relapses every time insurance threatened to cut off coverage. Suddenly, she'd improved just enough to qualify for extended treatment and relapse again. The pattern was so obvious, but the facility insisted each relapse was part of a disease. I confronted Dr. Getzfrid directly, and she smiled at me with this cold, calculating look and said, "Your sister is very sick and needs intensive long-term treatment. Some patients stay for years." When I told her I'd read Yvette's journal, she said patients with eating disorders often lie and manipulate to avoid recovery. She actually tried to gaslight me about my own sister's handwriting. I called our insurance company and found out Dr. Getzfrid had billed for treatments she never provided and listed group therapy sessions that Yvette confirmed never happened. The insurance investigator said they'd look into it, but that eating disorder treatment was specialized and hard to evaluate. I went back to Yvette and asked her directly about Dr. Getzfrid, and she broke down sobbing. She said Dr. Getzfrid had convinced her that she'd die if she left treatment, but would also die if she gained weight, so she was trapped there forever. She said other girls had the same therapist, and they'd been there for years, never getting better, just sick enough to say. Dr. Getzfrid had created her own personal cash farm of sick girls whose parents were too desperate to question why they never improved. The facility's medical director said Dr. Getzfrid's approach might seem unusual, but she was dealing with treatment-resistant cases. Treatment-resistant meaning profitable. I found out Dr. Getzfrid owned partial stake in the facility and got bonuses based on patient retention rates. She literally made more money the longer she kept girls sick. Yvette begged me not to make her leave because Dr. Getzfrid had convinced her that no other therapist would understand her, and she'd gain hundreds of pounds if she saw anyone else. My sister was so brainwashed, she was defending the person who was killing her. I talked to 3 former patients who'd aged out of their parents' insurance, and they all said the same thing. Dr. Getzfrid kept them sick for years, and they only started recovering after they left. One girl said Dr. Getzfrid used to tell her that her body naturally wanted to be 70 pounds, and fighting that was making her sicker. Another said Dr. Getzfrid would praise her for losing weight while pretending to be concerned in front of her parents. These girls spent years of their lives in that facility, and Dr. Getzfrid made sure they never got well enough to leave. The facility wouldn't let me remove Yvette because she was over 18, and technically there voluntarily, even though Dr. Getzfrid had psychologically manipulated her into staying. I spent the next 3 days gathering evidence from former patients and documenting every fraudulent insurance claim. What I uncovered about Dr. Getzfrid's operation was going to destroy her and save my sister's life. Full story on the channel below.